Hello again, this is Cassandra from Cassie's Fun Creations, and today I'm going to be making another version of my mask, knitting mask. You're probably going to say, oh gosh, you've already done two versions, why are you doing a third? Well, this was a request. I've done the version that has the elastic, I've done the version that has the straps, but this time I was asked if I could do a version that has the knitted straps that go around your ears instead of the elastic. And so I wanted to go ahead and do that for you. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to get started. The only thing we're going to need is some stitch holders. We're going to need scissors and we're going to need our tool, and that's it. Now I'm trying a different angle. I hope this helps better. I don't know if it will or not, but we're going to give it a shot. So I'm going to do a slip knot. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put it on here. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make our handles, and it's really easy. Now someone thankfully told me that this is not a double knot, this is an E-wrap, so thank you very much for correcting me. And we're going to go ahead and do this, and we're going to count them as we go. We're going to need to count to 35, so that's 2, 3, we're just going to keep E-wrapping until we have 35. 4, and it's hard for me to remember to count, so that's 5. And what we're doing is we're just simply, once I release this, I can show you, and you can release it after about 5 rows. All we're doing is we're making our strap. Hope you can see that, making our strap. And then just pull tight in between, and you're just going to keep going until you have 35. Now once you get to 5, just go ahead and go in here and find somewhere close to the end and into the middle, and that's where you're going to stick your first holder. So I've just gone there into the middle and stuck it for my first holder. Alright, now when you get to the end of your 35, you're going to go ahead and we're going to put one in there, and I'll show you how to do it, but go ahead, make your 35 and pause and come back. Okay, I've got my 35 rows. What I've gone ahead and done is I've gone ahead and I've clipped that off, and I've gone ahead and I've cut it off. That's all you need to do. Now you're going to need to go ahead and you're going to need to make 2 of these. So go ahead, make 2, and I'll see you back here. Okay, I've got my 2. And I'm going to go ahead and just set them aside for now. Now we're going to go ahead, and for those of you who haven't seen my other videos, we're going to go ahead and start the mask. Plus you need to see this part anyway because this is how we're going to add the handles. So when we start the mask, we're going to make our slip knot. We're going to put it on the first peg. Just going to set that out of the way, set your tail out of the way. Pull yourself some yarn. I'm just going to wrap that out to keep it tight, and we're just going to knit on for 8 pegs. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Once you get the 8 on, you're going to take your yarn, and you're never skipping any pegs. So I'm going to just turn it and then knit all the way back. So we're doing an E-wrap cast on. Alright. Now, my inclination is always to go ahead and knit here first, but a lot of times that's the hardest to get back on. So I'm trying to get in the habit of coming over to the other side because that's always looser. And by doing that, I can go ahead and pull on these and kind of tighten them a little bit. And while I'm tightening them, I'm also going ahead and helping relieve some of the tension on the one on this side. And then I can go ahead and pull it a little bit. And just move these down. You don't need to move them all the way to the bottom because we're just going to be knitting back. Alright, now I'm going to do one more row. And just once again, you're going to turn, just turn it back Just turn, you don't skip anything, and we're going to do one more row. So we did our cast on, and then we did 2 rows. Okay, so just like that, and then we're just going to knit them over. Now that wasn't tight, so I didn't feel I needed to go from the other side, but if you ever get it and it's too tight here, start on the other side. If you hear any noise, that's always going to be my cat, Shadow. I have a one-eyed cat named Shadow, and she doesn't like it when I'm not paying attention to her. So, all right, so there we go. Now we need to go ahead and we need to add our handle. So I'm going to grab my handle, and I'm going to grab one of the sides, and I'm going to take my marker. And the side that you started first is going to be the tightest. But pull it as much as you can, and you're going to place it on one of the pegs. It doesn't matter which side, whichever one you want to. You are going to need to stretch it. Okay, I finally got it on, as you can see. And what I do is I also take the tail and I wrap the tail around it. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that's really tight. Go ahead and take your bottom one and loop it over there. And now let's go to the other side. The other side is usually easier because you have a loop that's not been looped on all the way. So we loop that on, pull your marker off, okay, and loop that around and pull this over. Now, this is a real important part. I need you to pull your handle back. If you see any gaps like this one right here, you need to pull that back over there. If you see any gaps, looks like a gap over here. Okay, that's the extra. That's our yarn that we're knitting with. But if you see any extra gaps, pull them over. Okay? You don't want any extra gaps. If it's just the yarn hanging down, that's fine. But you want it to be as tight as possible. Okay, because it'll get woven back in once we start our yarn again. So this time we're going to start it again, but what we're going to do is we're going to do an increase. You always increase on the side where your yarn is. So to do an increase, we're going to do another E-wrap on the peg next to it. We're adding an extra peg. So E-wrap, pull it down, and just like before, we are going to turn it and then E-wrap all the way back. And you only E-wrap when the yarn is all the way back, but only once you start a new row. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put all of these over. Now remember, some of these might have 2 loops because we added extra because of our handle. You'll have to let me know if this is a better camera angle or not. It may not be. Okay. Now I'm just going to double check my handle again. And yes, it looks good. All right. So now I'm going to get my tails all in the middle so they can get out of my way. Now we have our yarn back on this side. So once again, we're going to do an increase. We're going to do an E-wrap over here. And I'm going to knit it over. And then this time, we're going to knit all the way back. Once again, we're just turning, and then we're knitting back. Okay, so every time you add one, you're going to knit back. And they will get tighter, so sometimes start at the end where you started knitting from. Just remember to hold the yarn because you don't want to let go of this, otherwise your knit ones are going to come apart. Okay. And then I'm going to start my increase on here, knit back. Start my increase on here, knit back. Now you're going to go back and forward as many rows as you need. I found if you do 12 rows, that's a kid, like a little kid side, 14 rows for a bigger child, 16 rows can be for a teenager or even a small adult, and then 18 rows or more is for a larger adult. Now, okay, if you want to measure for sure before you start, go ahead, knit 2 handles. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to knit however many you want. So if you're going to do 19, go ahead and E-wrap 19 stitches across. At the end of the 19, add your handles on like this on either side. Go ahead and knit off, and you'll have a large one that'll have the 2 handles on either side and just the number of stitches in between, and then put that across their nose, and then you can be able to have these on their ears and the 19 stitches in the middle. That'll give you a guesstimate of what size their mask needs to be. Now go ahead and you can take that out if you need to and reuse the handles, or what you can do is you can just throw that away, because remember, all of these masks must be washed before you give it to someone, and all of these masks must be washed every time someone wears it. I keep a little bucket in my sink, and after we come back from the grocery store or anything, we throw them in the bucket with soap, hot soap and water. We let them soak for at least half an hour. Then we rinse them really good just by like washing them like you would like a washing machine, and then we rinse them with hot water again. And then I have one of those spaghetti noodle holders that's just got like arms, and I hang them over those and let them dry overnight. So every single day, if you use these, you do need to wash them, okay? We just want to be careful with the bacteria. All right, so go ahead and finish this all up. When you're down to however many rows you did, stop. We'll come back and I'll show you what you need to do before we start the decrease. Okay, I've done my 18 rows, which is what I wanted to do, and I'm all the way back to here. Now that I've done 18 rows, I'm going to knit 1 row without increasing all the way back. This gives you the extra row you need for your nose. So just knit all the way back. See how tight this one is. Pretty tight. Okay. So when they're tight, just start at the other end and just make sure you hold the thread on the side where you ended up. You see how much looser it is here. And when I get back, if this happens where it came off, just re-loop it. See how much looser that is now? Okay. Now we're going to start the decrease. And I'll have to watch my other video, but I'm pretty sure this is different than my other videos. I think in my other video I had you looping both of them. This video, I'm just going to have you looping the one on the end. Just loop the one on the end. Pick it up, move it to the one before it, give it a tug, and loop over. I found this gives it a better edge. Now I may have been doing that all along, but I don't remember. And since I don't remember, this is how I'm going to do it now. All right. So we're going to turn it. We're going to go all the way back again. right. I'm going to hold my yarn with my hand while I go over to the other side. Okay, it's telling me it's coming loose right here, so I can just go ahead, and it looks like I slipped some thread. Now if you slip thread, carefully, and I mean carefully, go in and find the loops that came off. And I do it from the back so I can find them easier. And this does happen to everybody. But do your best to find the loops that came off. And it looks like I have an extra loop here. So when that happens, twist it, get it back on there. And I think those are the ones, that's the one that's supposed to go underneath. So what I need to do is I need to put that under it and put that on top. You can always fix your knitting if you look at it correctly. So now when I loop this over this, I can look at it and I fixed it. Okay? If you pay attention to your knitting, you can always fix it. That's the only drawback to starting at the other end if you don't hold your knitting tight enough. Okay, but there was no way I was getting that loop over that. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to press them down and I'm going to see. I can't see any difference. So if you take the time to fix your knitting, you can fix it. All right? So on this side, I'm going to knit over once. I'm going to move this to this, and I'm always tightening it. And I'm going to knit over once, I'm going to tighten it, and then I'm going to turn and I'm going to knit back. Now you're going to keep doing this until you're down to your last 8 pegs. So once you're down to your last 8 pegs, come back, we'll put the handle on and we'll finish it. I'm down to my 8 stitches. I've got all my decreases in. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my handle. Actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and do one more row. That's what I'm going to do. One more row. Okay. So you're going to do your decreases and then knit one more row. Now no matter where you end up on your loom, as long as you've got 8 stitches, it doesn't matter. Like I didn't end up on here. It doesn't matter as long as you're down to your 8 stitches. That's what matters. Okay? Now, I tried to loosen this one up as much as I could so it won't be as hard to get on this time. So let's hope. Let's hope I did enough. And I did. Okay, good. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to put it on. Move the marker. And just like the other time, we're going to pull it tight. We're going to wrap our tail all the way around. Pull the bottom loops over. our tail all the way around, pull the bottom loop over, and the yarn's on this side. So now I need to pull down and check my tail, and this is my loose yarn, so let's pull it off to this side. Let's see how tight it is. It's not quite tight enough, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap my yarn around this again. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So we're just wrapping it twice. We want to make sure it's going to stay on. And then I'm just going to knit back one more time. Okay, just trying to get our handles on there as much as we can and as tight as we can. Now we can always sew them tighter if we need to after we bind off, but we're trying to do it as much as we can right now. Missed one right there, one right there. And with the handles, if you need to do them one at a time, you could do that. Go ahead and push these down. Okay. Try to get all your tails to the inside. There's my thread. Okay, now we're going to do a bind off. We're trying to make this look like this other side as much as we can, but we're not going to be able to make it look exact, but we can try. Now we're going to do, I think it's the basic bind off. You go ahead and you go around the first loop, go around the second loop, bind both of those off, push the first loop down because you're going to move the second loop to the first loop. Now you only do this on the first two, and you move that over, move the first loop back to the second loop. Now you only do that binding both of them on the first two. This time you're only going to bind the second one, toss it over, and you're going to move that to the first loop. And you always tighten it just a little. You don't want to make it too hard on yourself, so just tighten it a little bit. Toss that over. Once again, move it over to the next one. Now, loop over the second one, toss it over, move it over to the first one, tighten a little, toss over, and move it back. Okay, these are short, so we'll just do it all together. So, toss over, move to the first peg, tighten a little, toss over, move to the next peg, tighten a little, toss over, move to the first peg, tighten a little, toss over, move the new loop back. Okay. Okay, now this one I'm going to do it right again to the end, toss over, and when I do this last one I toss it over the other direction, toss over, grab my scissors, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this yarn through. Now, it doesn't look exactly the same as the other side, but it's pretty darn close. I'm going to move all my tails underneath, so I can give you an idea of what the mask is going to look like. all my tails underneath. And all you're going to do is you're going to take your crochet needle, your yarn needle, whichever one you need. You're going to hide those underneath. And this is your actual mask. And see up here we have the extra little area for your, make sure you can see all this, your extra little area for your nose. It'll go all the way to your chin. You have your, and these are stretchy, so like I said, you can make them as long as you want or as short as you want. This of course goes around your ear. Okay, stretch your material. Okay, now either side can be front or back, but I usually make the front so it curls around your face. Okay, and I'll take my normal picture with it around my face and my lovely glasses and all of that. So once again, please like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps. Once again, these are not protection for the current virus going down, current virus that we have right now. These are protection to go with that. I've been taking coffee filters and I cut them in half and then I put them underneath this. Now that's not total protection, but it helps. It's just something to use on top of it, okay? So if it helps you, I'm really happy. If it's not something you want to use, I understand. It's just someone asked me to make them, so I did. And I love crafts, and I just wanted to do something to help. So I hope that it helps you. I hope that it was easy to understand. I like the edges, and I do like that you can use these. Now I know that lumahat.com made an accessory that you can put it behind your head. It had buttons and that these can attach to, and all you're going to need to do to use that is just make your handles larger. Okay, so thank you again for watching and have a great day.